we have been hearing for weeks that J.J. Redick is going to be the next head coach of the L.A. Lakers. And, Rob, we were just talking about it yesterday. Like, why don't they just go and do it? And you said, and it's even been reported, they didn't want to upstage the finals. They don't want to take away from that. And then, lo and behold, this morning, bam! The L.A. Lakers going to offer a huge long-term contract.
So wait a minute, Shim, didn't he have a story yesterday? That story was no good?
To Danny Hurley, the coach of the UConn Huskies, of course, won the last 2 championships. And Rob was, if he stays at UConn, will be, because he's got like one of the top recruiting classes in the country. They would try to become the first team to three-peat, Rob, in college since John Wooden. So lots to play for there. But what are your thoughts on this? I mean, nothing's done. The report is just that the Lakers, he's their number one guy and has been since this process started after they fired Darvin Ham. And they're going to make him a huge offer. He's willing to engage and listen. Nothing's done, of course, but that is the big news. And now all of a sudden, J.J. Redick, who Rob yesterday spoke and seemed like, he didn't confirm it was the job, but he definitely didn't sound, he didn't sound any alarms like, hey, slow down.
Right.
There's nothing, you know what I mean? Like, he kind of gave people the impression that, I don't even know if it was his fault, but people took away from that, it's a done deal, but it clearly isn't. What are your thoughts?
I like this hire better than J.J. Redick. I just think there were too many different things that were not good, especially the not being a coach before. I just don't think that that's the right move. And you might say, well, he's a college coach and the NBA players. I just think there's too much with the J.J. I was never with the J.J. Redick because of the LeBron relationship and the podcast and how it might come across, Chris, with teammates and how it could be bad. I said if JJ's bad and you waste a year of LeBron with a guy who hasn't coached.
Right.
Whereas here, this is a coach. Now, we know a lot of college coaches. Coach K almost took a Laker job many, many moons ago. You remember he decided to stay,
yes.
Chris? So he flirted with it. Larry Brown won a championship in college, the only guy. College and the NBA.
And one of the few that's had like real success at the NBA level. Larry Brown was such a vagabond. I don't mean that as an insult.
But he was on the 12 teams.
You wouldn't call him a college coach. He was more of a pro coach, I would say, but still did coach, a significant amount of time.
And he did play in the ABA, Chris. He was a guard in the ABA.
Yep.
I think I ever tell you, Larry Brown came to my barbershop in Detroit one day.
You did?
Yeah, that's a great story. But anyway, I like this a lot better. I just think need somebody with some experience. Yes, it's a different league and whatnot, but this guy is at least a winner. You can't find any guys, Chris, who are walking around. They're all old and decrepit, who are walking around with championships, or they're already on a team. There's not that many guys around left out without a championship. And this guy's got won 2.
At the college level.
Yeah, but he's won 2. He's a winner. You can say whatever. He's won. He knows what to do. He knows how to put together a team, and he just has to take it to the next level. I like this a lot better than J.J. Redick.
I agree with that. I do like it better than Redick because for all of the question marks surrounding Dan Hurley, and I'll get to those, J.J. Redick is nothing but one gigantic question mark. He might be great. I'll say that, but he might be horrible. We have no idea, and I'm sorry, having him stand up in front of the whiteboard, do a PowerPoint, whatever it looks like when they do these interviews, that's not going to convince you. You don't know. It might convince you, but it doesn't mean anything. All these guys know the X's and O's. All right? So you just don't know at all with J.J. Redick. So I do agree with that, Rob. But I don't think this is the home run that many people are talking about it as. It certainly is from a PR perspective. The Lakers have won the day right now. I mean, we don't even know if they're going to get him. But they have won today. If they do hire Dan Hurley, you can't say a negative thing about it, right? Because he is a champion.
Right.
He is a great coach. He is a great coach.
It might not work out, but you're not going to be if you go and get JJ and it doesn't work out, then it's like, look at you did this. You got a guy who could coach.
What were you thinking?
Right. And in this case, if it doesn't work out, you would still be able to say, well, he was great in college and maybe it didn't transfer, but you won't be ridiculed the same way you would.
No, I agree with you. But here's some of the red flags I have. And like I said, he's a phenomenal coach. And Rob, I do like him better, though, at the NBA level. And he said he wants to coach at the NBA level. I would like him better with a younger team. Cleveland even. And I think Donovan Mitchell would have to adjust probably a little bit. But Cleveland, which has, Darius Garland and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, bunch of young guys, Karis LeVert, and obviously Donovan Mitchell, or even younger rebuilding teams, because I think that what the model the Lakers are looking at is Boston with Brad Stevens, who came from Butler. Now he's in their front office, but he stabilized that program and developed players. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were developed within the Boston system. Oklahoma City with Mark Dagnall, even though he wasn't a college coach, they are that type of, development program where, we develop a great system and program going forward. But my problem is OKC, Boston, when Stevens got there, they didn't have a 40-year-old superstar and a 31-year-old superstar who was a longtime veteran. And Dan Hurley, for all his greatness, and this is maybe part of it, his practices are intense. He is a yeller. He is a screamer. He is going to get on guys and demand absolute perfection. Practice is somewhat militaristic. And Rob, we know a lot of times that won't go over well with your NBA players who are grown men with families versus college kids. I was talking to somebody that knows both of them, and he was saying that Danny Hurley's practices are more intense than Tom Thibodeau's. And Rob, year after year, Tom Thibodeau's voted as the coach the players least likely want to play for. Because he's so intense. But Hurley's are even more intense than his, more demanding than his. And if you say, okay, I'm not going to yell at LeBron and AD, and I'm not going to jump on them, what are the other players going to think? Rob, you know this. Coaches have said the reason they've, in a lot of cases, been able to jump on their players is because the superstar would allow. We've heard Greg Popovich literally thank Tim Duncan for letting him coach him, because if he can yell at and jump on Duncan, everybody else has to fall in line. I had one coach tell me once, Rob, he went to his star player before practice, said, I'm going to jump on you today. Got nothing to do with you, but I need to send a message to these other guys and get them in line. So I'm going to come at you hard. Just, no, it ain't, it's not about you and all that. And then that's what happened. And so if LeBron and AD are not getting, coached as hard as everybody else, how's that going to sit? And Rob, to be honest, Dan Hurley is known for practicing hard, and he's used to practicing more than playing games in college. And AD and LeBron, one's injury prone, one's 40. They don't need to be practicing that hard. But again, if they're not going that hard, how is that going to translate to the other guys? So, and then the system, look, UConn's offense this year was incredible. Watch them, Rob. Ball, player movement, it was just, everybody's in motion. That's not what LeBron is used to doing in his career, ever. And I don't see him starting that at 40, running ball screens and screening here and popping here and screen. Now, Hurley hasn't always coached that way.
I was going to say, right.
Rhode Island, early UConn. So I think he can adjust and come up with something to fit LeBron and AD.
You know what?
But those are just some questions I have. I will quickly, Rob. I think it'll be great for Bronny, assuming they draft him, and great for Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, Jared Van, like the young guys. He will make them better. And I'm not saying he won't work well with LeBron and AD, but I got question marks about that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think the best coaches are ones who can adapt. You can't take a system and force everybody in it. I always thought that's why Pat Riley's job with the Knicks, Chris, was phenomenal. They didn't win a championship, but he didn't have the players that he had with the Lakers.
No.
And he took what he had and turned that around. Am I right? And said, I can't play that way. They don't have any Showtime players.
Right. Rob, he was viewed as he did a great job with the Lakers, obviously, but he was kind of viewed as a roll out the ball guy.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And then he went Magic, got Kareem, Worthy. And then with the Knicks, he played an entirely different style with the Knicks.
That's what I'm saying.
Became tough defense, yeah.
Because he had to use the players that he had.
I agree.
And that's what coaching is, Chris. What can I get the best out of what I have?
Yep. Popovich has done that, Rob. Mike D'Antoni didn't. Mike D'Antoni, I think, very good coach, changed the game to some degree. But everywhere he went, Rob,
you're going to play what I got.
You play the same way, and it didn't work everywhere because it's like we don't have those guys. So I like it better than Redick, like you said, but I do think there are some question marks.